We're going to open the floor to questions. I know we have a couple of microphones. If you have a question, raise your hand, but I do want to address the elephant in the room, and that's taxes. The governor's proposed that we increase taxes. Do you think that is the one of the answers, not the only answer?
Let's think about what the governor said. The governor said there's two things that will make our future prosperous: education and infrastructure. I've been crisscrossing the state since this thing came out. In 1 month, I put 2,000 miles on my car and never left the state. I had a $118 Easy Pass bill. And much of that time, fortunately, I was counter-commuting and watching people on Route 3, on the Turnpike, on Route 2, lined up for hours. Drive me nuts if I had to do that. Expanding and making our transportation system work, I think, is critical. Number two, obviously, education is important. That's where we want to put money. So how do you pay for that? It's going to cost us $1 billion plus a year. He suggested raising the income tax, cutting the sales tax. I've actually surprised my friends, who sometimes send me things that the FBI think are legitimate death threats, that what we should be doing is raising the personal income tax and cutting the corporation tax, the profits tax in the company. In fact, Rick's heard me say this, I would eliminate it. And I'm a liberal Democrat. One of the reasons I would do it is because nobody really knows who pays the corporation income tax. It's shifted onto consumers in terms of higher prices. In competitive industries, it's shifted backwards onto workers. I would rather see higher personal taxes, and I'll pay those, lower corporation income taxes that will give a strong incentive and a great image to Massachusetts. And on the sales tax, to offset that cut in the corporation tax, I probably wouldn't cut the sales tax as much as the governor wants to do. But we could put together a grand bargain that would be good for business, hit some of us, maybe most of us in the room, a little higher on the personal income tax, leave the sales tax approximately where it is, and cut corporation taxes. We'd have to worry a bit about subchapter S and how that's used, but I think something like that could be done.
Jerry?
Well, so I look at this a little bit differently. I look at it and say, first of all, I don't know enough of the details of what's happening to really put an opinion on this. And we use organizations like AIM to work with us to think through these sorts of things as a company. So we value those kinds of relationships. But I get back to the point I made earlier about the pathway forward. No one's going to dispute that we need to do something with transportation in this state and infrastructure. I think it's clearly an area that we need to focus on, we need to improve. Education, the same thing. What I worry about is the pathway there. Do we create burdens on businesses or individuals where they change either their consumption patterns or they change their ability to consume, and or we change a business's ability to invest itself. And so that's the balancing act. And so for me, I say I need a lot more detail to understand the impact of these sorts of things. So the good news is we have a legislature. This is going to all get aired out. There'll be a lot of really great debate around this. And I do think, and I agree with Barry, that this administration has been very open to having dialogue with the business community. They listen, and they've tried to set forth a framework for the next 5 years. And out of those conversations were born some of these big issues. They're just very difficult to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Kathy?
I agree that education and infrastructure are things that we need to focus on, and we need to pay for them. I agree also, I don't know enough about the details. One of the things that concerns me is the timing. Given that we have uncertainty in what's going on at the federal level with taxes, now if we add some uncertainty about what might happen with taxes at the state level, we're in a recovery that's not going gangbusters. What might that do? And so I'd want to think through some of those things about what would be some of the ramifications of the timing of putting the taxes on. It's clear it has to happen. At some point we've got to make these investments. Delaying them too long is just going to end up costing us even more money. So it needs to happen. I do worry about the timing.
Okay.